Good morning. Welcome to the HR Morning Show live from SHRM at San Diego. This is our 50th episode. Can you believe?
Oh my gosh, 50. That's a lot, almost a year, right?
It is a year. And can you believe I am the only one that's been on all 50 episodes. I pre-recorded some of the stuff, but you've been on a bunch of episodes. So first, we should introduce you. Rhona, as you know from the Elder Hour, you know her from the Workfluencer podcast, and she's just everywhere. And I am your host today, Serge Boudreau. I am the HR weatherman, but today I'm doing double duty because Joel, Danielle, and Adam just couldn't come to San Diego. So pretty exciting that we're celebrating this 50th episode live from the show itself. It hasn't really gone crazy yet, but how you feeling?
No, it's amazing. And I think if you're the only one who's been for 50 episodes, you should probably take over as main host.
So I'll tell you, these glasses are ridiculous. I can barely see you. I see the bottom and top of you, but we needed to celebrate 50 episodes. And I really want to thank the audience because the audience has grown tremendously in the year. Everyone sees the red shoes at every conference. I'm not wearing mine today, but that's okay. But Purple Acorn, really appreciate the audience. On that note, SHRM, we're 3-4 days in, depending on how long you've been, day 3. What's your thoughts?
I think it's amazing.
I gotta take these off.
Yeah, me too. I think it's my first SHRM, and this is amazing. The amount of people that are here, just the conversations that I've had. So many people. I was reflecting earlier today. Really love HR. Really love what they do. Really love the people, and that's why I love coming to conferences. Because you get to connect with people and go back to basics. This is why we do what we do.
You know, it's my first SHRM as well, and the scope of this is nothing like I imagined. I've been to all the shows, I've done the circuit. This one is 10 times the size, and you are so right. The connections that are made here are pretty fantastic. You have a ton of HR practitioners from every facet of HR, and I've learned a lot. In the interviews we did yesterday, I was like, my God, I had no clue about that. But anything really hit you? Is there a vendor or a speaker that you've seen or someone you interviewed that you were like, wow, they were amazing?
I mean, I loved all of my interviews yesterday. Vendor, I think I'm going to go back to kind of the same thing I was saying at the Alder Hour yesterday. The vendors here have done a great job.
Yes.
Really, the one that impressed me the most was one that didn't spend that much money on their swag, but it was this huge, I'm talking huge bag for swag.
I hate it. Looks like a body bag.
It's so ridiculous, but it's so great because everyone stops. Everyone says, where did you get that bag? And then it's and they say the vendor, they go to the booth. And then they had a booth in the corner. It's Paylocity. They had a booth in the corner. So they have so much foot traffic just from people being I want that huge bag. I had to go 3 times to get mine.
I saw the bag. Literally, I think I could fit in that bag. But I have a couple of vendors that I'm huge fans of. So ERIN, which we're in the booth of ERIN. I had to walk the red carpet. We've got the Red Shoe crew here. Big fans, ERIN.app.com. Mike is here. The whole crew is here. So definitely check them out. The other vendor, and bias again, but VirgilHR. Our friend Jocelyn, who's going to be joining us. Love what they're doing. They had Ask Me Anything with John Baldino. Really interesting. John is he knows everything about HR, right?
Yes, every question people were throwing at him, he could answer it.
I know. I thought I got him, but he nailed his answer. But so you're leaving tomorrow, but I want to talk about a little bit of your experience. We were booked in the same hotel. So this, actually, we're not going to name it. You came in earlier, and I came in the day after, and I was like, I'm here, I'm going to be, and you're like, I actually switched hotel. Are you high maintenance? What's the deal here, Rhona?
I'm not. Come on, it didn't have a closet.
I know it had no closet.
It had the tiniest mirror ever. How was I going to, get dressed? Where was I going to put my clothes? I felt bad because I did the research and I chose the hotel.
Yes.
And I switched before you got here, but I was like, I can't do this. I just can't.
It's tiny. It's so tiny, but it's okay. I'm really low maintenance, but I regretted the hotel, to be honest with you. A couple things I wanted to hit about SHRM because we've never been here, and So yesterday or the day before, I'm walking through the floor and there's this massive crowd, okay, just following someone. And there was these really big bodyguards, I would say like 6'7", 6'8", around this guy. And I'm like, who is this guy? Is this an A-list celebrity? Because we know we've got Joe Biden that's going to be at SHRM. We have Jason Sudeikis, who did not show up last year and didn't think it was going to be a big deal, I guess. So now he's regretting he showed up this year. Josh Groban is singing tonight, so that should be fantastic. But that person was the CEO of SHRM, Johnny Taylor, with an entourage, and just people wanted to take pictures. He was like a celebrity. I had no clue. I had no clue that HR people loved him that much. But I did listen to his talk yesterday and what's going on in the HR space. And he hit a lot of things that I thought made sense, right? And where HR should be focusing in the near future. And like one of them was the younger generation in the workforce. Like, let me give you a stat. So 50% of 16 to 25 are not actively participating in the labor market. What's your thoughts on that? That's 10% down from 2021.
I mean, it's kind of like what I was telling you yesterday when you said that. It's like, are we going to try to reach them? Are we going to try to adapt to how they want to work? It's definitely an area where we should be focusing, because that's really who's going to be the workforce very soon, in a couple of years.
Yeah, I think it's probably the most pressing issue we have in HR right now is that younger generation and coming to workforce, and they're telling us, and employers are telling us, they're not ready. And they're going to school for 4 years. They're coming out of university and they're not ready for the workforce. How scary is that? Like, what are we doing with education that young workers coming into the workforce are not ready?
I don't know. I keep thinking it's like, are they not ready in general, or are they not ready for the workforce as we have it today? Should we be changing the workforce to accommodate and like be ready for them?
Yeah.
Because I do think that education is good, that we are preparing people to a certain extent, right? It's never going to be perfect. I think it's time for the workforce to change and adapt to what's coming. That's my personal thought.
Yeah, I think it's a huge issue. I'm hoping with all these practitioners here that was really a wake-up message of like, yeah, we got to do something with that, because that's going to be a factor. The other thing you talked about, and I thought it was interesting as well, is the older workforce. They're still looking for opportunities, but they don't really want to work full-time anymore. And that seems like a really good fit. When we talk about flexible work, like, this is a conversation we need to have, because we have two different labor markets. One that is extremely challenged to find people, and one is getting too many candidates. So how do we figure that out across? Well, I guess we've got guests today that can talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I think the thing that is in common for both generations, that are main generations that are in the workforce, is flexibility.
Yeah.
People want flexibility, and that's what we really need to focus on.
Well, you have the ultimate flexibility. You wake up usually at 11 o'clock, you do some content, you do some consulting. Like, I aspire to be you.
They always give me a hard time because the morning show is so early. Anytime I have to be here, it's like, oh my gosh. But yes, I just, that's how I plan my life, and it's part of the perks of being a business owner. And if I ever go back to corporate, I guess I'll have to wake up early again, but
yeah,
maybe not.
Maybe not. Who says you need to go back to corporate? But on that note, I really want to thank ERIN.app for hosting us at the booth to record our 50th episode, and also Humoroso, John Baldino, Ice Cream Social this afternoon. So if you're around in SHRM, please check with us. And of course, Evan has a special event called Talent Talk, or the Joint Sessions is actually the real name. You can look it up. I'm not going to specify what it is, but it's great. But how about we launch into our first guest if we're ready?
Yes.
Perfect.
So great. I'm so excited. We have our first guest today, and I'll let her introduce herself. So tell us a bit about who you are and what you do best.
Absolutely. So thank you so much for having me here. Good morning, everybody. I am Junell Venord. Currently, I am the Vice President of Membership for DC SHRM. I also work for a small nonprofit in Northeast DC. So definitely from the DC area. Shout out to DMV.
Yeah.
And so happy to be part of this podcast speaking with you and here in San Diego.
Amazing. How has San Diego been for you so far?
It's been wonderful. So this is my first time in San Diego, and I came a little bit earlier. I got here on Friday. I just wanted to be able to explore the city ahead of the conference, and so I did a city cruise one time. That was pretty good. I went to Balboa Park. I'm going to try to squeeze in the zoo because they say that's one of the best attractions there, but the conference itself has been phenomenal. I have been able to meet so many wonderful people, attend a lot of sessions. We also had our own session at the Margaritaville for DC SHRM, where we invited folks from the DC area. And to me, that's one of the biggest elements that I really enjoy is meeting new folks, seeing, faces that you already know, and that networking element of it.
And what are you hearing from people? Like, what are they excited about? What have they liked the most about SHRM so far?
So aside from the fact that the city is beautiful, the weather is great because on the East Coast it is suffocatingly hot and it's nice and warm and breezy here, but the amount of people that you're able to connect with. And so for example, yesterday, Johnny C. Taylor's opening remarks. And that was phenomenal. A lot of the things that he talks about resonates with us as HR professionals, the different keynote speakers that are here, and just the different sessions. There's so much to offerings. Literally, it could be a little bit overwhelming going through to see what you want to be able to participate in. But there's so much here for everyone. And I think that's part of the best things about SHRM'25.
Yeah, I love it. It's my first SHRM.
Is it?
So I've been very impressed. And like I was telling Serge earlier, I just love connecting with people in person because you remember why you started doing this and why you started working in HR to begin with when you're around so many people, and it's like the love for people that we have in HR. I was even telling my Uber driver about it earlier that's really the most excited. So as you go back to SHRM DC and just to your regular work, what are you taking back or what are you implementing from what you've learned at the conference?
So one of the big things that I've actually been working on prior to the conference and more re-energized here is that as for HR professionals, we give a lot. A lot of times is you're working so hard to support the employees, to support the organization, to make it a safe place and everybody feels heard, that sometimes our own needs are overlooked. And there's a couple of sessions here at the conference that talked about that. Burnout as for for HR professionals. That as an HR professional, when you need support, who do you go to? Exactly. And that's why networking is so important for me. That's also part of why I'm involved so much with DC SHRM, giving back, making sure that if you have an issue, you have like-minded professionals to go to. If you come to an event that could be so many people you don't know, folks, to have your own people there with you that you can connect with, get to know better, even have lunch with, right? And so it's a lot of nuggets that I know I'm going to bring back to my job, to my team, even for myself on how can I make sure that I'm showing up every single day in the best way. Of course, the compliance issues are important, the employee relations, all those type of things. But you can't fully do your job, be as productive as you can if you're experiencing burnout or if you're being overworked or there's certain things that is going on at work that you aren't able to address for yourself. So I think for me, that's one of the biggest things.
That's really good. And I've had conversations about burnout as well. It's so important that we're talking about. I love that we live in a time where we're talking about these things. So what's your number one tip from everything that you do personally for anyone that's experiencing burnout right now? What can they do? Because you can't just be like, okay, I'm going to quit and take a year off. No. Everyone can't do that.
That would be wonderful, though.
Yeah.
I would say is to really take a moment to pause and reflect, recharge, and think to yourself, how am I feeling at this moment? What do I need? a lot of times we tell employees to take time off. I even tell my team of 5 days, a week at a time is what I encourage at least once a year. But we all have a lot of time. We have sick leaves. We should really be using it. I think the best way to do it is to, one, realize when you need to take time, to be able to set boundaries, clear boundaries about what you need, be transparent, communicate it, and to be open to having conversations about it with your team. I also believe that we need to model the behavior that we want people to see. We always talk about how it's top down, right?
Yeah.
But yes is the C-suite, yes is the executive team, which sometimes HR professionals were part of that as well. But we really need to exhibit those things ourselves so that the employee population can see it. But I really think it's taking the time to internalize and think, okay, what is it that I really need right now? Am I just going, and you finally get a chance to sit down and you realize, oh my goodness, what's going on? So even before it gets to that point, just to kind of check in with yourself. So that looks differently for so many different people, but what may work best for you?
No, and I love that. And I love that you encourage people to like think about themselves, because as HR, we're always putting everyone else first. And I love the taking at least 5 days in a row at a time, because lots of people are like, okay, I'm burnt out, I'm going to take 1 day off. That doesn't help. And use your sick leave. I mean, I remember back in the day, I know like my parents' age, they would be so proud of never using their sick leave. And I was like, no, I've got 14 days. I figured out how to use it, because sometimes you just need a mental health day. Yes, you can do it in a way where you're not going to like put your team at risk of like, you're not going to be that person, right? It's like, ooh, it's launch day. Let me take a sick day.
We're not saying you just, you see the meme where you just throw all the paperwork and walk away. No, at the end of the day, you got to still make sure that your work gets done. But it's talking about if you need to extend, go to your supervisor, whomever that might be, and say, you know what, this project is due on such and such a day, but I really need to take some time off. Can we extend it if possible, right? Exactly. So it's having those conversations and not being afraid to talk to your team, to talk to leadership about what that can potentially look like for you.
Amazing. I've loved this conversation. Where can people connect with you and learn more about what you do?
Sure, absolutely. So I am on LinkedIn, Junell Venord, Junell Venord, V as in Victor, Enord. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can also find me on the DC SHRM website. If you're in the DC area, I would encourage you to come out to events. We have a number of virtual and in-person events. And then we could connect in person, which would be wonderful.
Amazing. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you. It was a pleasure being here. Appreciate it.
The other guy.
All right. I am so excited to interview Jocelyn, who is one of my co-hosts on the Alder Hour every week. But for people who don't know you, can you share a bit about who you are and what you do at VirgilHR?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so happy to be here. I've been on the HR Morning Show one time early on, so it's been quite a while, and I'm really happy to be back here. So thank you for having me. My name's Jocelyn King. I'm the CEO and founder of a company called VirgilHR. We focus on employment and labor law compliance software for HR professionals for organizations of any size in any industry across the U.S. My background is actually in human resources, so the last 15 years have been spent in HR, predominantly as a generalist, so I've had the opportunity to touch on everything, and my last role was a VP of HR for the Americas for an international technology company. And it was there where I really felt, and I had before anyway, but it was pretty challenging. I really felt the pain point of tracking and complying with employment and labor laws, particularly at the state and local level. Like when I had an employee in California request off for maternity leave, or somebody's asking off for a field trip for their kid. Is there a law that's applicable that protects this individual? I don't know. In California, there is. So, we're terminating people, what's final wage requirements, what documentation needs to be provided. So we're going on Google. Google became our best friend and our worst enemy in some ways, because you spend so much time doing the research. But you also don't know when you find an article, is this the most up-to-date article since maybe a new law has passed. So it leaves you with kind of a lack of confidence because you're expected to be a lawyer, but you're not one. So you are maybe talking to lawyers, but it's really expensive. And I thought, you know what, this is just too much, and we need to find a way to automate this process for HR professionals so that they have that sense of confidence when they're making decisions. They're not having to do research anymore, and they're saving time, and they are minimizing the amount of time that they have to go to attorneys. They're saving money on their budget as well. So we built a product that has a variety of features. We have a chat bot. You can ask it that question. I have an employee in California who's requested maternity leave. What do I do? It'll ask diagnostic questions, analyzes what federal, state, and local laws apply to that employee, and then provides instructions to HR on everything they need to do to be compliant. All the paperwork, the state agencies you need to reach out to, etc. So what might have taken a few hours of research now takes 3 minutes with the bot. Lots of other amazing features in there, but at the end of the day, what we're here to do is take those monotonous or complex compliance administrative tasks away from HR so that they can focus more on being a strategic leader and partner to the organization.
I love that. And I love that we have more people like you who are practitioners, who are creating software and like the tools that we use, because we've heard about this many times in our industry where the tools are created by people who don't necessarily know the industry, and we're always like, are they even talking to people? But having a tool that's created by someone who knows it, who had the pain point, and it created it is so great. What have you, because you guys have an amazing booth here too, what have you been hearing from people here at the conference about like what their challenges are on the day-to-day?
Yeah, I think from a compliance perspective, one of the biggest challenges that we've been hearing is leave. So, how to handle leave, because it's quite complicated, what leave laws are applicable to individuals, what leave laws exist in the first place. So that part is very complicated. The other piece is just keeping up with all the laws as they change, and not just being notified of when those laws change, but also staying organized with their effective dates. So that's something that's also incredibly difficult. The amount of time that HR practitioners are spending on these administrative compliance tasks is out of control. We have some people who've told us they're spending between 15 to 20% of their time on compliance tasks. So you could imagine if we can give a day back to an HR professional, what could they do with that day to help impact their people?
Yeah, because there's always a list. It's not like they're spending this time because they have nothing else to do. We have so much to do. So that's amazing. Can you tell us, for anyone who's here at SHRM watching, there's something really cool happening at your booth that they can get. It's a giveaway. Can you tell us a bit about it?
Yes. So I do think, there's a ton of swag here at SHRM. It's, a swag fest, really, is what it comes out to be. And we've talked about that in other podcasts. But something that I thought would be really funny was creating shirts that maybe were a bit more relatable to HR professionals. So, for example, I have this shirt here that says, I can't fix it, but I can document it. And we have another one that says, I'm HR to save time. Let's assume I'm never wrong. And those are a really big hit. In fact, within 2 hours, we gave away almost 500 T-shirts.
Wow.
And started running out as it happened. So next year, we're going to have to bring more.
Yes. And the T-shirts are amazing. I love the one about, let's assume I'm never wrong. I was wearing it yesterday, and as you go outside of the conference, like everyone here, it's like, oh my gosh, I love that. Where can I get it? But outside, everyone just like gets a little chuckle out of it because it's like, it's true.
Yeah, it is. It really is. Actually, something funny, on the walk over here to do the podcast, I had a cop stop me to tell me how much he loved the shirt. I'm like, are you involved in HR? Like, how are you relating to this shirt right now?
Well, I mean, it's true, right? We can't fix it, but we can definitely document it. Is there, what's the thing that people misunderstand the most about compliance in HR and, the work that you do?
Well, I think specifically when it comes to compliance, what people fail to understand is there are a couple things. First, a lot of people don't understand what jurisdiction is applicable when it comes to employment and labor law. So for those of you who perhaps are wondering or aren't as aware, it's always going to be that employee's work jurisdiction. So if they work from home in Nebraska, but you have an office in Oklahoma, it's going to be Nebraska for that individual. Where it gets tricky is when you have people crossing state lines. So for example, I grew up in the DC area. We have DC, Maryland, Virginia, and we have a Maryland office, and Virginia employees are traveling to the Maryland office. What do you do in those situations? That's where things can get a little confusing, absolutely. So jurisdiction is a really big one. And I think the other one too is this misconception that perhaps if you just don't know, you won't get in trouble. And that is simply not the case. Ignorance does not protect you from the consequences of not following through. So what we do see as well is a lot of people misclassifying contractors. So rather than classifying them as employees, it's just more convenient for whatever reason, right, to classify them as a contractor. And you can get into quite a bit of trouble. I actually know of a company that went out of business because the fines were so excessive on the claim,
Wow.
they couldn't afford it, and they had to unfortunately fold.
Wow. So I always like to joke that I'm allergic to compliance. So I love that we have people like you who do it. I'm probably allergic to compliance because I work in TA and I'm like, we just need to get this done.
Yeah.
But I love that, and it's such a real issue. In all of the hiring that I've done has been like remote, has been like international. Compliance can get tricky. So you told me that you were on a podcast a couple of days ago. Can you tell me about what that conversation was about?
Yes, so it was a podcast with SHRM Labs. SHRM Labs is the venture arm for SHRM, and we are very fortunate to be a portfolio company of SHRM Labs. They did invest in us early on. Actually, we were their youngest company that they invested in, so a huge privilege for us. And they've been incredibly supportive. But we had a really interesting conversation. So the host was Tony Buffum, who is right now with Human Cloud, but he was previously with Upwork and was the CHRO of, I think it was Stanley Decker, but Tony, if you're listening to this, I'm really sorry if I got it wrong. And he's phenomenal. So one of the things that we had talked about, since he's also an HR professional as well, was this concept of, and we've talked about it on the Alder Hour, this what Moderna has done with this CAIHRO.
Yeah, CHROAI.
Yeah, whatever it is, yes. And is HR ready for that? And it was an interesting conversation because I have really strong feelings about it, because I think that HR should be more literate in technology than they are. And we need to have some type of movement to get us there if we want to continue to be strategic partners to the business. In this case, I have absolutely no doubt that whoever they put in that role was qualified for it. But what I would hate to see is there to be some type of momentum as almost like a fad, right?
Yeah.
And we either lose sight of HR because we have IT leaders running HR, or we lose sight of the technology strategy and AI momentum at an organization because that HR leader just isn't equipped to be able to handle that. So that was a really interesting conversation. I'd encourage folks to find the podcast that SHRM Labs did with Tony. He interviewed a lot of really fascinating people, and there were some great conversations there. Another thing that we had talked about, and it's a topic that's near and dear to my heart, is HR getting more involved in the development of HR tech. So you mentioned it a little bit earlier, right? Where HR is either receiving or being sold technology that they've had zero input in. And you can see it everywhere from the UI UX, so how you're interfacing with the technology, to the content, to the features. Is this really solving our challenges as HR professionals if we're not even providing any insight or input into how these are being built? So how do we get HR more involved in the technology community as a whole? And in particular, how do we get them involved in the ideation, development, and ultimately implementation and adoption of technology? And that was another thing Tony and I had talked about as well, was, in addition to being prepared to handle AI strategy, are HR professionals ready to even implement technology and then have the change management skills to ensure adoption in the organization. And that's not to take away from how incredible HR professionals are or the skill sets and experience that they have. It's simply a matter of, you know what, change management is actually a specialty in HR, but it's going to become a requirement as we see more and more movement in the AI community.
Yeah, I think companies are going to become a bit more structured in their HR. We've seen larger companies have this where they have the change management, they have the ops people like recruiting ops and HR ops that are the people implementing software and stuff like that. But I think even smaller companies, as we move in, well, we're already into this AI world, are going to have to take more of that approach because it's not always going to be that you're going to find one person who knows HR, all of the HR things, and now we're going to be expecting our generalists to also be specialized in change management and in IT and all of these things. I think we're going to see a bit more structure and a bit more roles, even down to smaller companies.
Well, and actually, speaking of smaller companies, one of the things that I think about quite a bit is that HR department of one and the level of support they're getting within their organization, which more often than not isn't very much. Even from their CEO, unfortunately. So how are they developing the skill set to analyze, implement, adopt technology? How are they going to work with their leadership team to advocate for the technology that they think their workforce needs? And it goes back to literacy and technology. So I think we'll see more of a movement there in terms of education, upskilling for HR, and I'm really excited about that.
So am I. I've loved this conversation. Like I love all conversations with you. How can listeners connect with you?
Right. Well, there are a couple different ways. They can go on our website, which is VirgilHR.com. Or you can find me on LinkedIn. I love chatting with other HR professionals. I have found that we've been so much more successful in making an impact to the HR community when we have other HR professionals providing feedback to us on what they're looking for. So finding me on LinkedIn, Jocelyn King, is another great way of getting in touch. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, Michael Lockett from Snappy. Okay, we're at the ERIN booth. You guys are working here. We'll talk about that partnership. But first of all, who is Michael? What do you do? And what is Snappy? Would love to know more about it.
Thank you so much for having me. So Michael Lockett here with Snappy. I am a customer strategist for the for Snappy.
Yeah.
My role is to help companies incentivize their employees, their customer bases to drive meaningful results. So really excited to be here and talk a little bit more on the morning show.
Yeah, well, it's great to have you. And I'm curious, if we dig in deeper, Snappy is basically a gifting platform after the fact. So employers can go in and you've had this massive selection of different things that they can purchase through their program, like either engagement or in this case referral. But is that right? Like, do you want to dig in a little bit deeper?
Yeah, so we like to say Snappy is the gifting arm of the internet.
Okay.
We make it easier for corporations to connect in meaningful way with their employees through a gift. Gifting is one of the hardest things.
Oh yeah,
on
everyone
the
has
planet.
different tastes.
Father's Day just passed, and I spent I don't know how many weeks deciding what to get him, and ultimately it was a Starbucks gift card because I know he liked Starbucks. But I know that it's not personal, it's not meaningful. So what we want to do is really drive that meaningful connection with employees through gifting. So our marketplace has hundreds.
We come to the end of the HR morning show, and we had some pretty fantastic guests. But what are you doing? So we've got the Ice Cream Social.
Yes.
Which we will be at. And then we do have joint sessions, maybe. We'll
we
be
have
at.
another.
All right, Michael Lockett from Snappy. Okay, we're at the ERIN booth. You guys are working here. We'll talk about that partnership. But first of all, who is Michael? What do you do? And what is Snappy? Would love to know more about it.
Thank you so much for having me. So Michael Lockett here with Snappy. I am a customer strategist for the for Snappy.
Yeah.
My role is to help companies incentivize their employees, their customer bases to drive meaningful results. So really excited to be here and talk a little bit more on the morning show.
Yeah, well, it's great to have you, and I'm curious, like if we dig in deeper, Snappy is basically a gifting platform after the fact. So employers can go in and you've have this massive selection of different things that they can purchase through their program, like either engagement or in this case referral. But is that
Sure.
right? Like, do you want to dig in a little bit deeper?
Yeah, so we like to say Snappy is the gifting arm of the internet.
Okay.
We make it easier for corporations to connect in meaningful way with their employees through a gift. Gifting is one of the hardest things.
Oh yeah,
on
everyone
the
has
planet.
different tastes.
Father's Day just passed, and I spent I don't know how many weeks deciding what to get him, and ultimately it was a Starbucks gift card because I know he liked Starbucks. But I know that it's not personal, it's not meaningful. So what we want to do is really drive that meaningful connection with employees through gifting. So our marketplace has hundreds of thousands of products.
Okay.
We have branded swag, experiences all over the world for companies to really drive moments through milestone anniversaries, birthdays, new hire gifting, really strong use cases with organizations.
Well, let's talk about that because after the pandemic, experience became very important for a lot of people. Did you guys see that and be like, okay, we have to offer more experience? And tell me some of the experience that you could get on your platform.
Yeah, it's a great question. So I think Snappy was right place, right time when it came to the pandemic.
When did you start? What's the story?
So I would like to announce Snappy is about to celebrate our 10-year anniversary.
10 years. There you go.
So we've sent 7 million gifts around the world in that timeline.
Okay.
We work with about 50% of the Fortune 500 here in the U.S. And globally. So in terms of right around COVID, we were right around the pandemic. We were a 5-year-old company. We'd already built out a strong marketplace of doing this digitally, bringing forward gifting in a digital place and letting the recipient choose their own gift. It's more impactful when you can take the transactional approach out of gifting and let recipients choose something. So then when experiences came in, we offer a marketplace for recipients to choose maybe a cruise or dinner out in a city. Some of the top restaurants in the world are on our platform where they, instead of choosing maybe an iPad, they can choose an experience with their friends and family.
So what's the most popular experience that people are choosing on your platform?
It's a great question. I think the most popular one that they're choosing, or I believe, is the opportunity to work with a travel agent, a physical person, and use their budget on a trip of their dreams. So think President's Club or retirement, maybe a 30-year anniversary employee. They get to choose to use the budget in which they want to and not be given a gold watch.
Oh, I love a gold watch. It's funny. But I'm sure different generations are picking different gifts. Like, are you seeing that?
Absolutely. And that's the joy of our marketplace and having multiple options within a gifting budget. The recipient can choose what's most meaningful and impactful to them. You might be choosing that gold watch, but someone else might really want to spend an experience with their family. So we're not going to assume one way or the other. We're giving people the opportunity to select their ultimate option.
Yeah, were you shocked? Like, looking at that data, it's like 20 to 30 is picking experience. And I'm just assuming here, like 30 to 40, and like people with kids are choosing different things. Like everyone's getting the air fryer or...
And we're a dynamic marketplace, so we're constantly looking at ways to offer new solutions, new trending gifts and opportunities, and taking out options that aren't performing as well.
Yeah,
which is phenomenal. Our marketplace team does a really, really, really good job. Shout out. Would also like to say that from a standpoint of each industry is different. We're an agnostic company. We can work with anybody. Someone in manufacturing works very differently than someone that is in a law firm. So we handle a marketplace that can touch each of those recipients. One thing that we've brought in is a build your own collection feature.
Okay.
So the company can build their collection based on what their use case, what their audience is going to be. They know them best. We offer the tools to be able to connect with those recipients.
So you guys have been here at SHRM. You're at the ERIN.app booth.
Love the partnership.
So tell me more about that partnership. What's happened there? How do you guys work together?
Yeah, so it's a great partnership that we've built out. The team at ERIN has been phenomenal to work with. There's a lot of synergy between the teams. So the problem that we solved with ERIN is they offer referral bonuses, cash referral bonuses to referees and people offering one of the strongest referral platforms out there. We're the gifting arm of that. So there's some industries that can't give a cash incentive, or they want to make that gifting experience a little bit more personal. So in an instant way, we're able to build a marketplace into their platform where they can give a gift and drive meaningful referrals through gifting.
Is this your first time at SHRM?
It is my first time at SHRM.
Okay, tell me, what's your impression?
It's a very, very impressive show. The people, the ERIN team came strong. The who's who at the industry is just phenomenal to see. The theme that I'm really picking up on from a lot of companies and a lot of the speakers is utilizing AI in many many factors of people's businesses. So that's something that Snappy thinks about. I know ERIN is thinking about. So it's great to rub shoulders with the prominent people in the industry.
Let's talk about that. So AI is definitely the buzzword in this industry for since 2022, right? And if you see a lot of booths here, AI is a key thing they're talking about. But when I think about gifting or what you're doing, I don't think about AI, but then just back in my head, I'm like, well, maybe AI can kind of guess what type of gifts this particular person would want. Is AI a thing with Snappy? Is that something you guys are exploring?
We've been leveraging AI in some areas of the business. We're always looking to, we're making sure that we're bringing out strategically with the organization to not rush to it, to make sure that the product is strong.
Yeah.
From a swag perspective, we have a new product that just came out called Snappy Stores. It's basically a swag marketplace where recipients can search for or purchase pieces of inventory that are company branded. And we help build out those stores leveraging AI, design-wise, bringing forward a company store that can be built in a matter of seconds, not weeks.
Okay.
So if you have a big company event that you're running, a summer barbecue, and you want some fun merchandise that's completely branded with some fun designs, we can help build that out in a matter of seconds. So we're finding ways that we can build in the AI to help speed up time and ultimate deliverability for customers.
Do you do a lot of conference?
I do personally, yes.
You do, yeah. So what's your deal? How many times do you come to the booth working after a rough night? Or are you the guy that goes to bed early and just make sure they're fully relaxed? What's your style?
My style is coming refreshed, being there on time. A lot of times we're working midweek.
Yeah.
So there's people I got to get back to. There's things I'm doing. But I like to go out on the last day. I like to really, see the people that I'm around, enjoy the company that I've spent. We put a lot of work and effort into these shows, so it's nice to have a cold one after the show.
Perfect, Michael. I really appreciate you coming on board, coming on the show. For anyone that wants to get a hold of you, what's the best way to get a hold of Michael Lockett from Snappy?
Best way to get a hold of Michael Lockett is on LinkedIn, Michael Lockett. You can email me, call me, reach out to Snappy in any meaningful way, but we're here to help in any employee gifting or customer loyalty programs.
Well, it's a pleasure meeting you. I really appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of the show.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Well, I have a really special guest wearing the 50 episode glasses because you know what? If it wasn't for Mike and ERIN, the HR Morning Show would not still be on air. So you have been supporting us from the start. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
You guys are really good at milking this to make sure I keep paying that bill every month. No, it's been awesome. 50 episodes.
50 episodes. So we started almost a year ago. So it's flown by.
I have a few ideas on how to make it a little bit better for the next 50. One, I should be on every episode. Just start with what's up with Mike?
What's up with Mike? Yeah, we can create your own segment.
Or no, actually, so my last name's Stafiej. Evan's been pitching this for a while, but he wants to do like a staph infection, like staffing. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't be on this. That much. I'll see you at episode 100. I got to go.
I think we can talk about it with Evan, but no, I'm saying, like, we really appreciate everything you've done for us, but ERIN is also doing some really cool stuff. We're actually recording at the ERIN booth right now, and it's been buzzing around here, like really, really buzzing. So what you're doing is working. I think it's because I'm at the booth, and
I think that's what
suddenly
it is.
There's just a lot of ladies
shoes,
and stuff.
They look a little
white
today. Yeah.
The thing is, so let's talk about the red shoes. I love the red shoes.
Yeah.
I wear them one day every conference, and you miss them, right?
Yeah. Well, that was not. I mean, thank you, Southwest, for the delays. But
well, okay, let's talk about that. So I heard a story that when you took off, so you were on the runway coming here from Chicago.
Full speed ahead.
Full speed, and they put on the brakes.
Slammed the brakes. Aborted mission. No takeoff.
What happened?
I was half asleep. I thought I was dying. I'd flown out of my seat. A sensor came on, and they said they didn't want to fly that plane anymore. So we had a debate. To what point does a vehicle become a plane? Because that's kind of just a fast-moving car until it takes off. So technically, right?
Fair.
So
it's got a jet engine, though.
It does. But yeah, anyway, it was terrifying, and it was just enough of a nuisance to make me miss my connection by 10 minutes, and it took me 15 hours to get here. So that was great.
Well, you're here. So
ERIN
is here. You're representing. What's your impression of a show? Like, you've come to SHRM before, right?
Yeah. I think it's I think a few less attendees this year. You had still about 16,000, I heard.
Which is massive.
Yeah. Last year they were in the 20s.
Okay.
But look, you're on the West Coast. San Diego is not a cheap city to get to or to stay in.
True.
We're finding that out every day.
Yeah.
And everybody keeps forgetting 4th of July is in like 3 days.
Yes.
So holiday week, I think it's throwing everything. I know in Canada, you're not thinking about us.
No, it's a big day today.
Yeah.
It's Canada Day today.
Happy Canada Day.
Yeah.
I'm super excited for you guys.
Canada Day, and shout out July 4th. That's a big, it's kind of a big deal right here.
Independence Day before, and then you guys are just like, well, we need a holiday too, but you didn't want it to be you didn't want it to be the 4th. You're like, well, we'll just take the 1st.
No, I don't know if you remember, but there was a war in 1792, U.S., Canada. Canada won. We burned the White House. So just a reminder, but
so mad at you guys for that one.
Yeah.
That was our favorite version of the White House.
That was done. Yeah. Well, the show itself, like, what have you seen? Like, what are the hot things I
haven't been around a ton, but as you know, AI, so that's everywhere. It's interesting to see the rise of employee engagement tech. Because and I'll tell you why I think it's interesting. A couple years ago, this is stuff that these businesses were not doing. I don't say they weren't doing well, but they weren't getting huge rounds of funding, and it was just kind of like starting last year before. Just employee engagement, obviously one of the hottest topics right now, but these companies just blew up. So it's crazy to watch those booths start taking over. So just cool little trend. Other than that, I mean, SHRM is just we're looking at Aflac. There was a duck there yesterday.
I took a picture with the duck.
There was a bald eagle. Did you see the bald eagle?
I heard about the bald eagle that was supposed to fly when Johnny Taylor, and it was supposed to land where Johnny Taylor was, but it didn't make it there. It just circled around. I'd kind of be freaking out if there was an eagle flying around here.
Yeah.
It's like, where's it going to land? I'm not that big. It might land.
There are 12 states in the U.S. where you're allowed to legally, with special permits, have a sloth.
Okay.
In Nevada is one of those. So I'm thinking next trade show we have there, we get sloth at the booth.
I love it. Let's dig in a couple things that the audience might be interested. I think they want to hear our stories, but one of the things that I'm seeing in the show and talking to a lot of people, a lot of practitioners, a lot of HR folks, is a mistrust in the whole candidate market. There are getting a lot of people applying for jobs. They don't have a chance to go through all those applicants. They don't know what's real, and they realize that a lot of it is there's very low intent. They're applying for jobs with lazy apply tools, and then they don't really care if they get a call back or if they do. This is where referral can help fix a major problem in the industry, because there's a lot of credibility and there's a lot of intent when it comes to someone referring a candidate. What's your thoughts there?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. We're headed towards, I mean, job boards right now are getting 60 applicants per hire. We're like full speed ahead to 1,000 applicants per hire very quickly, right? Just because of the tools on the candidate side of using AI. And, you know, people have said this before, more power to them. If we're using AI to screen you out, you might as well use AI to get in, right? It's just like we're getting to this place where like there's no humans involved. But you're seeing reductions in recruiting staff as well. So not only is kind of an employee referral a way to kind of combat the noise, but you kind of got to do more with less, right? So those anytime you can automate and just be more efficient and reduce the hours you're spending doing kind of administrative work, that's the key. So that's obviously what we're here to do. But yeah, I think it's in terms of like, who do you talk to and how do you get real humans to the right stage? Even though you're using all this automation and AI, that's the specialty of employee referrals. So we've seen a lot of customers embrace that. Across the board, we have about a 10-to-1 hire ratio in referrals.
Okay.
I have one customer absolutely crushing it. They're 5-to-1. With half of their candidate flow, and this is a 60,000 person company, half of their candidates come from employee referral. So not only a super quality hire, that is like their biggest source. They've cut significant amounts of spend on Indeed and LinkedIn, and they're crushing it. So
yeah, it's interesting because 5-to-1 is an insane number if you compare it to a job board. In general, like 500 to 1,000 is not uncommon today. Like I'm hearing from a lot of employers. So like if you end up hiring one, and they don't always hire from those 500 applicants. So if you're going 5-to-1, but in your mind, why is a referral candidate a way better quality candidate than one coming from a job board or someone applying directly?
Yeah, and I think it's important to measure quality. So one, obviously hiring them and have better candidates means you're going to have a higher conversion rate. So that's where you're getting that 10-to-1, the 5-to-1. But one of the most important things we point out, and this is outside of our software, we tell people, what's your percent hires from referrals today? And then we ask them, like, look at the tenure of your referral hires versus the non-referral hires. And is that more? And I've never had somebody say no. I've seen it as low as 25%. Most commonly, we're pushing up to like 50%. So these are better, faster hires, and they're sticking around longer. And you got to ask why. And there's a layer of vetting that's happening through that process that you can't replicate with a cold interview, right? What I mean by that is they kind of know your dirty laundry coming in. They know how things work. Like they know what they're getting into, and they have a connection with some of the employees out of the gate. So that creates just a much better experience overall.
Oh, I think you nailed a key point that I've never thought about when it comes to referrals, because like one of my pet peeve in the industry is all this recruitment marketing saying we're the best place to work. And, and you show up on the first day and you're like, I'm not so sure about it. But if you know someone that works there, they're going to tell you like, Joe, like, he's kind of a creep. Like, stay away from that guy.
Your expectations are set, right?
Your expectations
you kind of know what you're getting into, and I think that's really important.
That's interesting. One of the biggest challenges when it comes to referrals is adoption, like referral programs. Like, how do you help companies with the adoption? Because usually, my experience is big push, right? Like, we launch it, everyone's on board. Then it fizzles out. Fizzles out, and then people, we do have a referral. Like, how do you avoid that?
I mean, communication's the hardest part, right? And there's things that companies should do whether they have tech or not. And there's definitely things that people want to do, especially large companies, that their corporate communications team's not going to allow them to do as much as they want. But leveraging the tech to create that engaging experience is pretty critical. So that's meaningful notifications. That's inviting them to the platform at the right time as part of the onboarding process. So things like that. And you got to relaunch, right? So announce it, push it, 6 months later, do it again. And part of it is like, how do you change that message to keep it fresh? One, you could offer bigger incentives. Obviously, sometimes you can't, but just make it fun. So, hey, we're going to gamify this for the month of July. Anybody that participates is just by logging in is going to be eligible to win a gift card, right? Something like that. So that relaunch is super important, but also leveraging the tech to engage the employees proactively and keeping it top of mind is really critical as well. Once you get them in with tech like ours, this becomes their bank account. They're getting notified as people move throughout the process. They're getting notified about their bonuses. So it creates an experience that does keep them coming back. So the sticky factor is there. You just got to make sure you're leveraging, really going after the new hires, the new blood, and keeping your message fresh. So it's not just like we're hiring, make a referral. You do all that and it really comes together nicely.
Love it. So I just interviewed your friend Michael from Snappy.
Yeah.
You guys just announced a partnership. Yeah.
This is the partnership. We have the sloths and this blue guy.
What are those?
We're calling him a Snappy.
A Snappy,
I don't know if
okay.
that's the legal
legal
terminology. Yeah, they uncovered these in the far edges of the earth.
Far edges.
And now we're handing them out.
So partnership recently
Yeah.
announced. I just had Michael talked about basically being a gifting platform that works well with referrals. But tell me, what's the strategy or what are you trying to accomplish?
Yeah, look, so I think bonuses are great. People like cash, but it's a very far out experience, right? So I make a referral. It might take them 30 days to hire you, if not longer. Then I got to wait 90 days, if not longer, to get paid on it. So gamifying not only referrals, but also a recognition component and giving that, I'd say, instant gratification at the right time is really important for overall strategy. So with Snappy, we're able to do non-monetary rewards. It's not just bonuses in your bonus in your paycheck anymore. Now it's going to be, hey, you've earned enough points to get a link, and you can go claim your gift, and they take care of all the shipping and everything. So it's very easy for our customers. It really buys into that low administration experience. And then gives the employees something fun. Like you get to pick out your gift. So it's not just like here's a gift card.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, you're getting a clock or the AirPods or whatever you want, but like, you're gonna pick something, and they let you like curate the catalogs and stuff. It's really cool product.
What I thought was cool is the experience, right?
Yeah.
And if you look at different generations have different needs or different experience after the pandemic has become massive, right? So they've adapted to that. So it's pretty cool. They're actually at your booth. So if anyone is still here at SHRM, please come check out the guys at Snappy and also ERIN. And on that note, man, like, appreciate you. You've got an amazing booth. What's your booth number here? Like everyone that's watching, 1147. You should be coming talk to Evan's here with the red shoes, Mike, the whole crew. But on that note, thank you, buddy.
Hey, happy Canada Day.
Appreciate it. Happy July 4th.
Thank you. Hey, look at the camera. There we go.
Look.
We fixed it, everybody. We're good.
Everybody, I'm George Rogers, Lighthouse Research and Advisory, and today I'm standing here with a great intern of the Evan White. Dylan, introduce yourself and tell people about yourself.
Hi, I'm Dylan Oyama. I'm from Carlsbad, California. I'm going into my senior year at San Diego State. I'm on the golf team, so go Aztecs.
That's awesome. Dylan, you're here live here at SHRM right now, and just we're going deep with Dylan on some things that you've learned here at SHRM. And let's relate it to some things that you're passionate about. So you love golf, you're in the golf leagues. What's one thing that you learned here that you picked up here at SHRM that will relate to, let's say, a mulligan? I know that you can't get a mulligan in a real golf game, but if we were going to hang out and I shanked one, left or whatnot, I'm gonna call it a mulligan. What's something that you learned that can relate to HR where we might need a mulligan?
In HR, here I feel like it's all about like getting your name out there, and so just make sure that like you have your talking points down, you have your pitches down, because I didn't have that in the beginning, and it was a little hard.
So you needed a mulligan in your life to learn what to say, how to say it, really connect with people. What's something that you love about this lovely conference that you're doing and being able to grow and develop into the man that you want to be as your intern?
I like just how big everything is. I didn't know HR before coming here was this big.
Yeah.
I know that all companies have an HR and have a process, but I didn't know that like it was to this scale.
That's massive. Awesome. That's great. Dylan, what's something that if you were to say Dylan is blank. If you describe yourself in one word, what's that one word that you want people to be able to reflect and know about yourself?
Moldable, adaptable.
Okay, 2 words.
Two
Great.
words, yeah.
Moldable and adaptable.
Yeah.
That's great.
Hireable too.
Yeah,
Yes,
hireable.
that's
Yeah.
a good one.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going deep with Dylan right here. And we want you to know that he's moldable. He's able to be able to adapt to circumstances. And listen, because of those characteristics, you should hire this guy because he hits it out of the park, not just on the golf course, but in life and work as well.
We've come to the end of the HR morning show, and we had some pretty fantastic guests. But what are you doing? So we've got the Ice Cream Social,
Yes.
which we will be at, and then we do have joint sessions, maybe.
We have another AMA with John Baldino here at 1.
So we have John Baldino. What are you going to ask John Baldino?
I don't know. I met his wife yesterday. I should have got a question from her to ask him.
Yeah, that's a good question. I didn't know his wife was here.
Yeah,
We gotta
he
figure
was
that
there
out.
with us.
Well, so I really appreciate Rhona. We've been part of the Purple Acorn family since almost day one.
Yeah.
We've been at all these shows, Alder Hour, the HR Morning Show, your podcast, everything. There's a lot of exciting news that is coming to Purple Acorn. Big news coming next week where we'll keep it secret for now, but audience, keep your eyes on Purple Acorn because we will be making some major announcements coming up as well. Also, I'm excited. We're working on brand new branding. Well, actually not brand new. It's just we're going to make it even more sexy than it is right now. But it's been fun, right?
Yeah, it's been fun.
50
episodes.
Woo. So on that note, for all the audience, from Serge,
From Rhona.
thank you for joining us this morning, and tune back. We'll be back to our regular programming next week with our main host, and I'll be doing the weather. All right, let's go have a mimosa somewhere.
Yeah. Bye.